A step so away was Gonzaga. Also slow to begin was Ticana, and another one who blew the start was towards the rear of the field early, dashing to you. The early leader here is Hasif. Hasif has gone on, leads by half a length, but it is Sunset Salute who will press the pace, racing in second. Then towards the inside is Bearing Bob. Bearing Bob has now dropped back to fourth as Dorado makes ground towards the outside. Then Inclement Weather is next in the field, followed by Gonzaga, who's made up for that step slow start. At the moment, the red cap of Free Step is showing in the last third of the field, in fact with only two behind as they go into that far turn, and it is Hasif and Dara Keenan who have got the lead. So it's Hasif who is out in front now by around about a length and a half to Sunset Salute, who is racing in second position. Towards the inside, Bearing Bob is just in third, out wide Dorado is racing in fourth. Gonzaga is in fifth, Inclement Weather is in sixth, Centralon making the turn, racing in seventh position. Sweet Bertie drifting back is now in eighth. Flagman around the outside is racing in ninth. Evasive Power has made the turn in 10th position. Ticana is now racing in 11th as they come up the home straight. Still Free Step with quite a bit to do from there, but now trying to make ground as they race inside the final quarter of a mile. And it is Hasif who has got the lead. Giving chase now is Bearing Bob in second position. In third place now is Inclement Weather as they race inside the final furlong, and Bearing Bob has now taken the lead. Bearing Bob has gone on. Inclement Weather continues to stay on in second. Hasif is in third. These are a long way clear. They've got 150 yards to go. Bearing Bob is out in front, and it is Bearing Bob. Bearing Bob wins for Clifford Lee. In second, Inclement Weather. In third was the long-time leader. That was Hasif.
Bearing Bob clings on through the gloom and makes a winning first start for Tony Carrroll. 194 days off the track, but we know the trainer is so adept at off-casts from different yards, improving them, and he's done just that with Bearing Bob. Inclement Weather back in second, staying on, but all too late, and Hasif looked to run out of puff a bit, back in third. But a good performance that from Bearing Bob, and it looks as though, Amy, Tony Carrroll might have found the key to him. Absolutely.
He actually looked quite keen when we saw shots of him cantering down to the start, so clearly very well in himself and taking a bit of pulling up, which is always a good sign. And it was also a good training performance, like you touched upon. 194 days off, clearly freshened up, still taking a bit of pulling up, so they've clearly sweetened him up and done a good job with him. He's beaten 11.5 lengths last time, 14 lengths time before, so he's bounced back to his best to get off the mark at the 11th time of asking on stable debut.
And it certainly has. And Rach, how many times do we see this from Tony Carrroll? It's plenty, isn't it?
Well, if you look back to 2020, Tony won both divisions of this race, so trainers are creature of habits. And I love that totally after timing, looking at them. Yep, I have that written down right there.
Now I'm quickly looking for who he's got in the second division.
No, he does have some, so, but, I mean, coming off a 6-month break, probably needed it. All of his placed runs have been on the all-weather, so they switched him back to that surface. They've dropped him in trip, and more important, this is the lowest level handicap he's ever run at in his 10 race career, so I think he's sort of, he may not be a world beater, he's a 0-60 horse, but he's now won in a 0-60 competition, and he's done well holding off the very, very consistent Inclement Weather, who's a bit of like a handicapper yardstick. Whether or not she wins or loses, she always runs her race, so she's sort of the right horse to come up against. And well, they didn't have any entries with Bearing Bob now. I'm sure Tony will be looking through the form book, or the race conditions book, to see what comes up relatively quickly, because with that 6 months off and that bit of a freshening, it'll be an all-weather campaign. He'll be the one we'll start seeing week in, week out, the likes of Kempton, Lingfields, etc.
Yeah, indeed. It would have been some nice pathetic fallacy if Inclement Weather had managed to win in the murky mist, but wasn't to be in the end. She couldn't quite get there. Has Hasif looked to just fade a little bit in the closing stages?
Yeah, different sort of tactics. Last time stayed on really well. Today went forward. Like we said, there wasn't much pace from stall 4. The Dara Keenan went forward, but he ran an opposite race and staying well at the finish. He ended up weakening late on tonight, so they might revert back to different tactics. Inclement Weather, she's run another solid race from stall 13. This is only her second run actually over the mile, so watching this, she actually looks like she might stay further again, so she's not had a lot of racing. And just quickly to touch upon the other one that had won in the first time, Visor, not so good last time. Which one?
Free Step.
Yeah, Free Step. She won in the first time, Blinkers, sorry. Not so good last time. We thought we'd see how she ran back at this venue, but she was never going from the word go, so she may be one just to follow if they switch her headgear again when it's first time. Clearly it works, but it hasn't worked again.
Maybe one of those horses that just needs a bit of perking up every now and then.
Yeah, that's the thing with headgear. Sometimes it just works once, sometimes it works more, then some trainers switch and change it constantly, so they have a change because they can sometimes just get used to it.
Okay, yeah. hopefully we'll see Free Step back to winning ways, or near that at some point in the near future. But Bearing Bob is the winner. Let's have a look at the 3:30 at Dundalk, and we can